From Tree to Tree by Caitríona Hastings. Illustrated by Andrew Whitson. Narrated by Mairéad Ní Mhaonaigh. The whole house was empty. Everything was packed in boxes. Nia was sad. Dad had got a new job. The family were leaving their home in the country. They were moving to a new house in the city. Nia said goodbye to Mrs. Flynn in the shop. She said goodbye to everyone at school. She said goodbye to Minnie and Michal, the next-door neighbours. Nia was very sad. Nia had one more goodbye to say. To the crows who lived in the chestnut tree at the bottom of the garden. The crows were Nia's special friends. If Nia was bothered about anything, she'd go out to the crows and tell them about it. Then the crows began chattering together and Nia would know they felt sorry for her. The crows would often play with Nia. In spring, when they were building their nests, they'd dive bomb her with small sticks. They'd call, Nia banana at her when they'd see her coming home from school. Caw, caw, good morning was the first thing she heard in the morning. Caw, caw, sleep tight was the last thing she heard at night. But now she had to say goodbye. Goodbye, my friends, she said. I won't see you again. Caw, caw, goodbye, goodbye, answered the crows. You might. Nia was very sad indeed. The crows in the chestnut tree saw Nia and her family setting off. Then 3 crows flew out of the tree. They headed for the yew tree beside the church, a little way up the road. Nia's on her way! Nia's on her way! They shouted to the crows in the yew tree. 3 crows flew out of the yew tree. They headed for the oak tree that was on the top of the hill in the next town. Nia's on her way! Nia's on her way! They shouted to the crows in the oak tree. 3 crows flew out of the oak tree. They headed for the rowan tree beside the old castle a little further on. Nia's on her way! Nia's on her way! They shouted to the crows in the rowan tree. 3 crows flew out of the rowan tree. They headed for the sycamore tree in the garden of the new house in the city. Nia's on her way! Nia's on her way! They shouted to the crows in the sycamore tree. Very good, answered the crows in the sycamore tree. Nia and her family arrived in the city. They went into the new house. Nia felt very lonely. She sat on a bench beside the big sycamore tree at the bottom of the garden. Caw, caw, shouted the crows up in the tree. Welcome, Nia! Welcome to the city! Nia was delighted. She waved up to them and began to smile. She ran into the house. That night, everyone went to bed early. They were exhausted. The last thing Nia heard before she fell asleep was the crows cawing in the sycamore tree. Caw, caw, they said. Sleep tight, sleep tight. Next morning, 3 crows flew from the sycamore tree in the city to the rowan tree beside the old castle. Nia is settling in, they said. As soon as they heard the news, 3 other crows flew from the rowan tree to the oak tree on the hilltop. Nia is settling in, they said. Immediately, 3 crows flew from the oak tree to the yew tree beside the church. Nia is settling in, they said. Then, without delay, 3 crows flew from the yew tree to the chestnut tree at Nia's old house. Nia is settling in, they said. Caw, caw, answered the crows in the chestnut tree. Thank you all very much. A few days after that, a new family were moving into Nia's old home in the country. Their son Larry was walking around the garden. He wasn't happy. He was lonely. He didn't like this place. Then Larry saw crows up in the chestnut tree at the bottom of the garden. When he listened to them, he thought the crows were cawing something. Caw, caw. Welcome, Larry. You're welcome, they were saying. He began to smile. He waved up to the crows. He ran inside then to see his new room. Maybe this place would be all right, he thought. That night when Larry was going to sleep, he heard the crows cawing out in the chestnut tree. Caw, caw, they said. Sleep tight, Larry. Sleep tight.